Hey guys, welcome back to Sex and Violence with Rebel Girl, where we interview top-level MMA fighters and other experts in their fields about love, romance, dating, and that all-too-taboo subject, sex. I'm your host, Ashley Rebel Girl Evan Smith. Now let's talk about sex and violence. Sex and violence. Sex and violence.
What's happening, hot stuff?
What's up, all my naughty listeners? We are back with your 1-year anniversary episode. I am so excited to be here. I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous when I first started this podcast because there's something called pod fade. Pod fade is just what it sounds like. It's when podcasts fade away into the internet, into nothingness. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to commit to something and have it be here for years to come. And 1 year down, and I don't see us slowing down anytime soon. I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for tuning in, for subscribing, for all the fan questions you guys give each week. It means the world to me. And this is not just a podcast to me. This is something that at a time in my life, I was a little lost. I started not knowing what it was going to be for me, but it ended up being my sense of direction during the pandemic and during my injuries and my surgeries. And if you guys have been tuning in for this past year, then you know we've had a lot of ups and downs, in the world and in my life. And I know, if we were having a personal one-on-one conversation, you, the listener, have had lots of ups and downs as well. I mean, just this past year, we've had political riots, race riots, we've had the pandemic, crazy election. I mean, at one point, our studio burnt down. We've had, unfortunately, family members pass away on us. We've had, fight camps. I've lost fights, and, I'm currently winning the fight in sobriety, if you will. I'm open with everything in my life. I've talked to you guys about my relationships. I've had ups and downs. It's not always sunshines and rainbows, and I've shared that with you guys this whole year, and I just can't thank you enough for tuning in and for supporting the show. We're doing great on listeners and downloads. It's growing each week, and each month we get better and better. We have new sponsors on the horizon. I'm very excited to announce them. I don't want to announce them just yet, but starting June 1st, in a few weeks, we have some new sponsors coming on board. We are finally going to be moving to YouTube. Full videos will be on there. We're actually going to be experimenting in the next few weeks with something called Sling and live streaming so that you guys can actually tune in as the show is happening. So a live version, and I will keep you guys updated with that, but that's in the future. And it's been a crazy year. I know you guys, if you are a longtime listener, can hear me get better. I don't think I'm the best podcaster, but I know I've grown, and you guys have allowed me to get better. I'm still finding my voice. I'm still trying not to use my notes and look down and read from a script and all that. I'm still trying to look in this damn camera. And, I know I could be a lot better, but you're growing with me. So thank you guys for that. And, I can only tell you it's going to get better from here. We're going to keep bringing you amazing guests. We've had 52 episodes so far. That means we've had at least 52 guests, plus their partners, because we've interviewed some couples, and guests from all over. It's not just fighters, as you know. It's, entertainers. We got actors, comedians, adult entertainers. And next week, we have my best friend. His name is Dan Kenny. He is the bassist of Suicide Silence, a very well-known metal band. So tune in for that, guys. And I also want to talk about the fights. The fights are tomorrow. My female best friend, Dan Kenny would definitely be my guy best friend, but my female best friend, Carla Esparza, is fighting tomorrow night. This is a huge fight for her. She's on a 4-fight win streak, fighting a girl who's on a 6-fight win streak. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's just look at the card real quick. Right off the bat, we got a few prelims. We got Ben Rothwell, Chris Barnett, Court McGee versus Claudio Silva, Damir, so sorry, I'm going to kill his last name, Hadgovich versus Yancy Medeiros. That's going to be a great fight. And then the main card, we got Jack Hermanson versus Edmund Shabazian, Norma Dumont, who I fought before, versus Felicia Spencer at 145. Then we have a heavyweight bout, Justin Tafa versus Jared Vandera. And then the fight that I'm most excited about, and you should be excited about, is Carla versus her opponent, Jan. And it's basically the number one, contender spot for who's going to fight for the belt. So I fully believe that Carla will get her belt back. And, obviously I'm biased, but I hope you guys tune into that tomorrow. And then the main event is Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt, which is basically a battle for the bantamweight top contender spot, because we have number 3 versus number 4, Cody Garbrandt being the former bantamweight champion. That's tomorrow, UFC Vegas 27 on ESPN. Tune into that, guys. It's going to be exciting. But yeah, just to wrap up our little intro here, again, I can't believe it's been 1 year. Super appreciative to all you followers, all you listeners for following us on the for the Instagram, and now you can subscribe to our YouTube and follow us and watch us live in the very near future. You know who I also appreciate? That is our amazing sponsor, A Botanical Bloom. They have so many different methods. They've got hand sanitizers, they've got tinctures, they've got the vapor rubs, and my favorite product that I really need right now is the chapstick. They got CBD chapstick. I've got some chapped lips right now because your girl's a little crazy, and sometimes I just don't think ahead. I got my lips tattooed 4 or 5 days ago, and I've got the most gnarly tattooed chap lips. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna get my A Botanical Bloom chapstick, and I'm gonna put that on these chap lips. If you guys want to find some A Botanical Bloom CBD, you can go to www.abotanicalbloom.com or find them on Facebook or Instagram at A Botanical Bloom. And if you use code AshleyMMA, you can get 20% on all the products. Today's guest is an American professional mixed martial artist who fights in the lightweight division of the UFC. He's ranked number 11 in the UFC lightweight rankings. This 34-year-old graduated collegiate wrestler brings a 14-1 MMA record to the table and was killing the wrestling game long before the cage doors closed. Born and raised in Webster, New York, he won 2 high school state titles, continued wrestling for Edinboro University, where he was a 4-time NCAA Division I All-American and won a national championship in 2007. He graduated from Edinboro with a bachelor's degree in individualized studies and concentration in psychology. He was an assistant coach at Hofstra University. As a side gig, he taught private lessons to an MMA fighter. Despite having vowed never to fight, he started MMA and quit his job in order to pursue a full-time career in the sport. We talk about grown man wet dreams, reconnecting with his high school love, a teammate named Blonde Fighter and her porn scandal, sober dating, wrestlers going 1 to 100, sex on a boat, and so Gregor Gillespie with us. Thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm still trying to ride the wave from my fight a couple weeks ago. Yeah, feeling good. I'm excited to be on here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. It's definitely not your average podcast. I feel like each guest I have to coerce them a little bit, I'll be gentle, don't worry. But
it wasn't too bad though. You didn't have to twist my arm too much. It was more just kind of trying to figure out the best time to do it, I think, right?
Yeah, I think we're both busy people. There's a time difference. I'm over here in California. You're in New York.
Right.
But we made it work. So thanks for joining us.
Of
Actually,
course.
I don't know his last name. We'll just say Rob, but
Yep.
Ghosts in Darkness, Rob, he has a clothing brand. And actually, who introduced me to Rob? So my website girl, her name is Becca. She's in Canada and she knows Rob. And Rob
Okay.
then told me that you would be a great guest on the show. So that little MMA community circle
Wow.
happened. Yeah, so now you're
Wild.
on the show because we have a mutual friend, I guess. How do
Yeah.
you and Rob go way back? I know.
Yeah. So his last name is DiPiazza. So Rob
DPS.
and I actually went to high school together.
Oh, okay.
His brother Sal was in the same grade as me. So I think Rob was, I can't recall it. It's either 2 or 3 years older than me, but he was like, they do those silly things like, hey, best dress, best smile
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
yearbook or whatever it
yeah.
is. He got class clown and he was like so funny. They had like an improv team. And I remember him just being, how good could a like high school improv show be? You know what I mean? But his was unbelievable. He was super funny and like, didn't care about picking on himself or embarrassing himself. He was just super funny. And I obviously we knew each other. We weren't super good friends then. I was closer with his brother, but I don't know what we reconnected quite a few years back when I was looking for sponsors for fights and we hit it off and now we're like really good friends. He goes fishing with me, constantly checks in on me, sends me clothing, just an all around really solid dude.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
Ghosts and Darkness brand, guys. If you're
Hmm.
wondering who we're talking about, I'll also put a link to their Instagram and website in the show notes. Great guy, great stuff. I think it fits perfectly with my brand. It's kind of tattooy, dark, alternative,
Definitely.
and yeah, it's just great
Yeah.
clothing as well. I'm gonna be doing a photo shoot for them when I get
Cool.
in better shape in a few weeks, and
Yeah.
post some
You
pictures.
kind of nailed it though there. It's like the tattooy, I would say like traditional tattooy
Mm-hmm.
kind of clothing. And he always like he'll put in some of those sayings that are on like, dead birds don't sing or,
Oh yeah.
stuff like that. And I always, I like that kind of style. So
I do too. Yeah, the
yeah.
shirt I was wearing yesterday said dead men tell no tales." And I was
He
like,
has another one. Yeah, is that his shirt?
"Yeah, that's his."
Yeah, of course. That's one of my favorite ones actually.
It's cool.
Um
Well, thank
yeah.
you, Rob, for supporting us fighters and this podcast. And I want to talk about your last fight just briefly because that's the violence part of Sex and Violence. Uh,
Yeah.
we we all saw your awesome TKO over Diego
Thank you.
Fiera, and you are 14-1, but
Yeah.
also you are in your own mind close to retirement, which is crazy. Could you explain how you could be doing so well, pretty young in life, but also be
Yeah.
considering hanging it up in the not too far future?
Okay, so I'll go off on that and elaborate a bit. I don't see myself as retiring like right away. I hope this doesn't come off as, headed in a different direction than I wanted to. I'm not retiring like soon, but I really can't see myself fighting past like 36 or 37 at like the latest.
Hmm.
And I would do that if the money's right, if the opponent's right, if I'm a fight away from getting a title shot or whatever the case may be. Obviously, you stick around then. But I said this to someone like a couple weeks ago, and they were asking me about the same thing, and I said, unfortunately, it was a joke, obviously, but I said, unfortunately, I happen to be pretty good at this, or I wouldn't still be doing it,
Yeah.
and that doesn't mean that I don't love it. I absolutely love fighting. I don't absolutely love all the stuff that goes along with it outside the cage. And I mean, you obviously know what I'm talking about. For any of the listeners who don't, it's just such a grind. Like, and especially, I think, this is probably the wrong time to ask me about this because it was literally a 5-month fight camp
Oof.
because I was supposed to fight Brad Riddell February 13th. And then, so I started training. I got the notification, 9 weeks out from that, started right into training camp. That one ended up getting pushed to the end of February, then March 6th, March 13th, March 20th. Finally, we got it set. We both are out there, do our thing, make weight. And then on Saturday morning. So, that's literally like probably 8 or 9 hours before the fight's supposed to take place, right? We got a COVID protocol cancellation. So then
Ugh.
I didn't go out of fight camp because they told me, stay ready, you're going to go right back in.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked it out where the next one got scheduled for whatever, May 8th, I guess. So, 5 or 6 weeks later. So it's like you don't get to go on, a hiatus. You're back in the training camp. So basically from 2 weeks before Christmas until May 8th, I was doing the damn thing.
Yeah,
So
it's brutal. And I totally get it, because I understand what it takes to be in fight camp. And there's two different fight camps. You and I both know that you can half-ass a fight camp, right? Or
sure, yeah.
you can do it the right way and be dedicated and, not have cheat days or rest days or party days or
Right.
whatever you want to say. And we both know both fighters, right? The ones that are dedicated and you probably don't even call them during fight camp because they're just so in the zone. And then there's people see
Right.
them on Instagram and you're like, are you even in fight
Wait,
camp?
do you have a fight?
You're
Yeah.
you're a
But I
UFC
guess
fighter?
right, yeah, hold on. Are you that good? But no, I guess I kind of went off on a tangent there, but saying that I do love fighting. I
Mhm.
really love fighting. I love as you probably do as well. I like competing way more than I like training.
Yes.
There's no glory in winning around and sparring, right? But there is when you get your hand raised in the octagon. That is a feeling that is just indescribable for someone who's never done it, especially on the stage that we're on. If you do the fight camp correctly, which is absolute misery and
Mhm.
terribleness, then the fight win, if you win, obviously, is like astronomically better than anything I can describe. Even like drugs or whatever. You can't possibly get as high as a feeling as you do when you win a fight, especially if there'd been some adversity in the fight. So that part I absolutely love, but it's a grind. Fight camp is just so tough if you do it right. And I guess I should just finish this by saying I'm not going to retire right away, obviously, but I won't be the guy who's 40 or 41 years old and you know people saying, "Oh, we should hang it up. He keeps getting beat." That is not going to be me. So, but I originally said when I first started fighting, I originally said 35, and I will absolutely not fight after I turned 36. And then last year, obviously, there was COVID and all the
Mhm.
shit that went along with that. So I extended that by 1 year. So I guess that would mean the wording of it is tricky. So I'm not going to fight when I'm 37. So if I'm 36 in 364 days, that's I'm good.
Look,
But at 37,
I'm not going to hold you to anything because you're winning, you're making money.
I
It
know.
sounds like you're healthy. You don't have any injuries right now, but it's awesome to hear that you don't fight for money. Clearly, it's
Yeah,
not about that. You love the feeling of winning, and you just set the bar real high for yourself. If you're not fighting for the
yeah,
championship, you don't want to be in there, and that's understandable. So, some people do have these lackadaisical fight camps where, Mark Munoz actually told me one time, he was like, a good fighter is a happy fighter, meaning you don't always have to hate the grind, like find happiness
hmm
somewhere, cheat a little, and, like eat a candy bar here and
sure.
there, that kind of a thing. But
Yeah,
whatever you're doing, as miserable as it sounds, it's clearly working for you. You're 14-1.
thank you.
You're ranked number 11th now. Congratulations on
Yeah,
that.
thank you. Yeah.
Do you have a new fight lined up yet?
I don't. And you just mentioned I don't have any injuries. I'm not injured, but you know how it is after a long fight camp and a fight. I'm dinged up.
Yeah.
Things are still swollen on me. My shoulder hurts, my knees, my elbow. And during that 5-month fight camp, I had a ton of those little like nicks and dings that I think
Yeah.
anyone in the regular world outside fighting would consider an injury that they would probably stop working out because of. And we're not allowed to do that. You just work around it. So I have a bunch of those that that kind of added up and piled on during that extended fight camp. So I'm trying to just let my body get back to semi-normal. And then, we'll start talking to the UFC about possible opponents. But I think, and me and Blonde Fighter, Blonde Fighter, right? Caitlin
Caitlin
Chukagian
Chikagian, yeah.
and her husband, Kyle Sermonera, they're two of my best friends in the world. I hang out with them like more than anyone. And they live in Long Island, fortunately. But we talked about it. Like Caitlin fought a week after me, and we were both saying like how that's the best time of the year to fight. Because if you really think about it, you fight in May, right? And then let's say it's going to be another 3 or 4 months at least before you fight, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, you kind of get your whole summer, which is nice, So,
Yeah, and then if you fight again a couple months later, you get one more fight in before the holidays, so you can enjoy the
that's
holidays.
so ideal. In a perfect world, it would be like you fight in January, May, and like mid-November. That would be like
Yeah.
ideal.
Come on,
But
because let's face it, we're
yeah.
wrestlers, so we like to create our lifestyle around food, so.
Oh my God. Yes, as you know, for the
Yeah.
people out there that don't know, how many like actual holiday meals did you enjoy growing up?
Not many, I started
None.
wrestling in high school, and
Right.
so, holidays were
Oh,
my grandpa asking me, "Why are you not eating? I don't
oh,
understand." Grandpa, I have
right.
to make weight. You're not supposed to starve yourself. I'm not starving myself. You're
Yeah.
getting
Oh,
you're
I've been there.
Yeah. Well, I think that you have the right mindset. You clearly have set the bar high. You're hanging out with, birds of a feather, other amazing athletes. I would love to have Caitlin and her boyfriend Kyle, right?
Yeah, there are like no better podcast guests than those two, especially together. They're unbelievable, and I'll put in a good word for you. I
Okay.
mean,
Okay.
they're awesome, and I don't know if you know this, but they do a podcast every week too.
No.
It's called Burning the Boats. It's unbelievably good. They just started it. I would say they're on like episode 19 or 20 now, and they've been doing it for half a year, I guess, about a half a year. It's incredible. They mix it in like you're doing. You do a little bit of fighting, you do a little bit of relationship stuff, you do a little bit of whatever. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's a really solid, fun podcast, and those two as guests would be absolutely like you would love them.
That's awesome. So,
I'll put in the good work.
please do, please do.
I will.
So if you are, kind of have this, plan for yourself, you're not really that old. Let's say you do hang it up at 37, 38 even. What
Yeah.
next? Are you going to spend your life on a fishing boat? I know you like fishing, but train other fighters. Where do you see yourself? Kind of corny question, but where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, so I know in previous conversations we've had, you mentioned, a lot of fighters don't really have a plan
Mm-hmm.
after, and they don't really know exactly what they're going to do. And like, that is like something I would say that is the thought or like thoughts that like keep me up at night more than anything. And I know like when I turned 30, it was literally, I got in the UFC kind of, at 29, right before I turned 30. And like, I had like a 30-year-old midlife crisis because I remember only making like, and again, I really want to say this, that the UFC pays me and like I have nothing to complain about now. I get like an amazing paycheck and they really do take care of their athletes. But you know how it is when you first start, it's 10 and 10
Uh-huh.
or maybe a little higher now. But like I made like 20 grand because I won my first fight. I made 20 grand
Yeah.
and like had a whole bunch of expenses it was in Brazil. So like, half your paycheck's gone right
Taxes.
there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like flying 2 coaches out there and like an extra hotel room for a week and
Per
you know how it
diem,
goes. So
food.
yeah, exactly. So I didn't make a ton of money. And I remember turning 30 and being like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And then I remember like talking to my mom, and my mom is she just retired, but she did 43 years as a German teacher in like a really good district upstate New York. And like, I always kind of wanted to do teaching along the way, like be a high school teacher, like a health teacher or whatever, social studies. I really like history. I actually, I was like a credit away or 2 credits or whatever away from having a minor in history in college. So, yeah. So like, I always thought that's something that I would do. And then I also always had the thought in the back of my mind, like, if all else fails, I'm sure I could apply, and take like the state police or county police tests. And those thoughts have really changed over the past year or so. And I know this is not a political podcast and I really don't want to get into politics, to begin with, but the climate of like the universities now, like, because I'd have to go back to school to do a master's in education. It's really turned me off, for some, obvious reasons, but like, I don't really want to go back to college, and it's not about the work. I have no problem doing the work, but just the political climate of universities right now is alarming.
Yeah.
And same thing with police, like law enforcement, you know what I mean? Like, I really do respect police, and obviously we need some sort of law enforcement, but like everyone hates cops now. Not everyone, but you know what I mean?
Yes,
Like
yes, yes.
I don't, yeah. So those two things are like off the table. But to answer your question about like what I see myself doing when I am done is, and I've talked a lot about this with my girlfriend Christina. We talk about it a lot. Like I want to obviously start a family with her. She has a son already who's awesome. His name's Christopher, and I'm super close with him. But you know, I don't want to. I told her I'm waiting. I don't want to start doing the kids thing until I'm all done fighting because I'm an all eggs in one basket kind of guy. So yeah, it's just how I am. I have a tattoo on my neck that says 1 or 100. I'm either all in or all out. So well, then what happens is if we start having kids, I'm going to neglect either my fighting or my kid.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't want to do that to anybody. You know what I mean? Myself included, as far as like my job as a fighter. So that being said, when I'm all done fighting, I want to start, thinking about a family with her. And we've talked about it. She's a banker. She's a really good job at a bank. And we also have talked about buying properties and starting Airbnbs up in like the Adirondack region of New York, which is where we do a lot of our hiking. So
Oh, wow.
they're super popular up there. It's a pricey area, but it's in like super high demand, especially right now. I know it's not going to be like this for forever,
Yeah.
but with the COVID thing going on, there's more people hiking and going to the mountains than ever in history. So
Well, that sounds like
that's
you
something,
have a lot of stuff, a lot of possibilities, a lot of things on the
right?
table. And yeah,
Yeah,
I've got a feeling. I'm not saying you're a liar, but I have a feeling you're going to fight for a little bit longer than 37.
yeah,
You're just doing so well.
yeah,
You're ranked high. I can see you
sure,
being in title contention soon, and then,
right,
a fight falls through, but then you hang on for another 6 months or
yeah,
something. So you just never know. The fight game is
sure,
crazy. We all know that. You mentioned
yeah,
Christina, your girlfriend. How long have you
yeah.
guys been dating? You already want to have a
Um,
family with her. I'm like, wow.
yeah, we hit it off really. Okay, so I got to say this first. We have known each other since we were ninth grade. So I guess like 14 years old.
Oh,
We went to high school together. We were actually in band together, believe it or not.
are you a band nerd,
Um,
Gregor?
yeah, I actually was really good. I was like all county in saxophone for like a couple of years in a row. I was pretty good.
Saxophone. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, like so, like a lot of these kids now do like private wrestling lessons and stuff. I did private saxophone and piano lessons when I was a kid. Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, we were we've known each other since ninth grade. We weren't like super close, but we were friendly and cordial in high school. We had some friends in the groups that overlapped, so we knew each other. I hadn't talked to her in, so many years though, not since like, we graduated high school. She got married, had a kid. But after my Kevin Lee loss, I think that it was November of 2019, I had gone home, and there's a place that I always get my food at when I go home. I get takeout for breakfast, and I was walking in to pick up my breakfast, and she was sitting there with a friend, and we started talking, and she said some really nice things about how, everyone in the town still supports you. Don't let this one discourage you. We don't think any differently.
Oh,
It was really sweet. So
I
I ended
love
up,
that.
yeah, I ended up like we've been Facebook friends since high school or after high school. So I messaged her on there, and yeah, kind of just I found out that she was no longer with her husband, her ex-husband, I should say, and we hit it off. So November of 2019, but we got close super quick. It was very easy with her, and it
Yeah.
still is.
Yeah, it's different when you know someone at an early age. You lose
Right.
contact and then you reconnect because I'm sure you
Sure.
guys have so many mutual friends, all those memories you can relate with.
Yep.
It's like, kind of sometimes picking up where you left off. A
Yeah.
lot of stuff I'm sure has changed. She got married, had a
Right.
kid, whatever, you're a
Yeah.
UFC
Yeah.
fighter, but you're still the same
Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is like, yes, we are still the same people. And I remember telling her that, like, I was like, oh my God, you're exactly the same. And you don't look like a day older than I remember you. And like, the other thing that I'll say is like when we actually really started dating and like I started bringing her around my family, my sister, Andrea, she's 5 years younger than me, but she went back and she kind of like Facebook stalked her. And it was
Which is
actually
usual
really,
these days. It's normal.
right. Yeah. Especially like your sister. She's looking out, like,
Yeah.
hey, who's this new girl in your life, and
Hmm.
she ended up looking back I don't know, God, until like 2014 when I first started like my first, MMA, professional MMA fights. And I think almost every single one of my fights, including the ones on the regional circuit, she would post like a shared picture or video of me.
Oh,
Yeah, of like me winning or me getting my hand or whatever,
so
So
she'd
she's
been
like,
supporting you ever since you started.
yeah, and obviously, there's so many of those after you fight that you can't possibly look through them
Yeah.
all. I'm like,
Yeah.
so I never realized she'd done that, So it was really sweet to see that. It wasn't just like, oh,
Very
she's jumping
cool.
on the wagon now,
Yeah, yeah. She's like, "Oh, you're a fighter now? Let me get some of
Right,
that."
right. But it was just really sweet to see that, and I'm really glad my sister did find that and send it to me.
That's very cool. Yeah, I've got a best
Yeah.
friend named Carla, and I've literally had to tell her before, like, please don't tell me I don't want to know. Let me
Right,
have this organic relationship with this person. So,
right.
But
Sure.
yeah,
I get it.
Carla Esparza should work for the
I know
FBI
who
because
she is.
she's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
She's like a detective, but she actually fights
Yeah,
this weekend.
she's tough. I know. I saw her on the UFC Instagram post this week.
Yeah, yeah, she's gonna kill. But
She's good.
so you guys have been dating since 2019, known each other. What's it been like for her dating a high-level professional athlete who, when it's time to get serious, you get serious, and
Yeah.
not everyone can deal with the sacrifices and the selfishness that it takes. Selfishness is such a strong word, but you got to be selfish, and it takes a
Hmm.
specific kind of partner to be able to deal with that. How's that been with
Yeah.
her?
Okay, so you're spot on. Obviously, all those things you said are very accurate. But she obviously knew that I was a fighter from Jump Street,
Yeah.
and we kind of had like a impromptu conversation about this, while we were in the midst of starting to date each other. And I let her know, and she kind of already knew this and understood it. But I told her, obviously, like, hey, listen, like dating me is going to be tough. I'm 6 hours away. She still lives in her hometown. I'm 6 hours away, and nothing at this point in my life, nothing is coming before, me accomplishing my goals. And I don't think it was much of a shock to her. I think she kind of already expected that, but she knows, and we do a really good job of, talking to each other like several times a day when I'm away here in Long Island and I have a fight camp. And she doesn't come visit me when I'm in fight camp, and I don't blame her. She, doesn't want to follow me around and sit at my 3 workouts a day. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't blame her, but we do a good job. I talk to her this like right when I get out of, training people at night. I get out at 8 or 9 p.m. I call her and we're on the phone until we both go to bed. So we do that every night. There's certain points in fight camp when I get really cranky, and she notices that and she'll tell me that I'm getting cranky, and I try to tone it down a bit, but I think she does like a wonderful job of being my biggest cheerleader. So
That's awesome. Yeah. And you're
yeah,
right. She kind of, quote unquote, knew what she was signing up for. So
yeah,
it's not like she met you randomly and,
yeah,
found out. But that
right.
that's awesome. So
Yeah,
I
she
want to,
had one more thing. I want to tell you this too.
yeah,
So this is like a pretty like cool thing that happened. But I
cool.
remember it was before. So obviously, we started dating in November of 2019, like right after my Kevin Lee loss. And then I had broken my jaw, so I was out for several months before I got cleared. Right when I got cleared, COVID lockdown happened in Long Island and New York City area. And New York in general was just like a total mess. So there was obviously a big period of time there where I wasn't fighting, and then the extended fight camp, blah, blah, blah. So
Hmm.
she had never seen me fight while we were dating, and I asked her, like, it was probably a week or two before my, the Brad Riddell fight, which got canceled because of the COVID protocol. But I was telling her, like, hey, are you going to be nervous when I'm fighting? And she's like, no, why would I be nervous? I'm like, well, you get nervous when the Bills play. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be nervous for me. She's like, no. And I was like, how can that even be possible? She's like, well, I know you're going to win, so why would I be nervous?
So,
Mhm.
oh, that is a super cute story.
Yeah.
So
It's really sweet,
I, I'm very happy. Actually, now that you said that you guys started dating November 2019, that's actually when me and my boyfriend started dating. So,
No
because
shit.
it was right before the pandemic hit. I had a fight
Right.
in March in London, and that's when, like, literally they shut down the airports, and we
Mm.
flew to London and had to fly right back.
Right.
It was crazy.
Oh
So, and yeah, I remember
God.
thinking like, man, this guy, I've only been dating him since November,
Mm-hmm.
but he was willing to fly to the other side of the world with me, and I was like, all right, this is a down motherfucker. At
Yeah.
that point, I
Sometimes
was
you just know,
yeah,
you
at that point
know.
I was already in love with him. You kind of want to
Right.
you don't really want to say it too early in case they don't
Of
say it back,
course.
but yeah, when did you know that were in love with Christina?
I mean, I would say like, I mean, obviously I saw her at that breakfast place that one time and we didn't like have a super long conversation, but I remember just thinking like, wow, what a genuine thing to say to somebody, after
Yeah.
like it was like, assumably was a tough time in my life. I had gone 13 fights without a loss. I mean, the last time I'd lost at anything was in the 2011 World Team Trials for wrestling. So like that was a tough thing for me to deal with, like especially the way I lost getting knocked out. And I
Hmm.
remember thinking like, wow, that was a really organic, like genuine thing to say to me.
Yeah.
And then I remember the first couple times we hung out was right around Thanksgiving. And the first time we went and just got like a burger joint food. And some of the things she just said were like so clever and witty. And I just like, wow, man, this is like I don't, this is fun. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't just like, wow, I'm attracted to her. It was like obviously she's very intelligent and witty and funny, and she got my sense of humor, and it was just like really organic from Jump Street,
That's
and
cool.
yeah.
So
I
you,
Go ahead.
you knew her in high school.
Right.
What changed since high school? I know I'm a completely different person. What were you like in high school? Tell us about
Oh.
Gregor back in high school.
I was obviously I wrestled, and it was like, the biggest thing in my life and the most important thing in my life was wrestling. I wasn't, I was a smart kid. I had a lot of brains, but I didn't really apply myself. I didn't do super well in school. I did really well in the SAT, but I didn't really care much for school. So wrestling was it. I wanted to make sure I got into a Division I college that had a good program, but it was wrestling, wrestling, wrestling,
Same
and
here.
partying.
Same here.
Yeah, and partying. That
Yeah.
was really.
Yeah.
I was a big partier. I would say from like 10th grade on, I was anytime that I got a chance to drink and party, and I did. And I'm sure it wasn't the right thing for my athletic career, but try telling a kid who's winning that he shouldn't be doing something. Well, why?
Exactly.
I'm winning.
Yep.
So
Yep. So you were
yeah.
kind of living a double life per se.
Uh-huh.
That's
Definitely.
exactly how, I tell my story to people. I'm very open. Obviously, I have a sex podcast, but I also talk about
Mm-hmm.
my sobriety. I am in July is my real birthday, but my birth, day, but it's also
Mm-hmm.
the same day. It's my sober day. So it's 2 years on July 9th for me. And people are like, oh, wow, like,
Yeah.
how were you an alcoholic but still did so well? And I'm like, I don't know, but I started at a young age and I was
Yeah.
just grinding. I was wrestling my ass off. And then on the weekends, I would party so hard. And when you do that consistently and you still win, you start thinking it's okay.
Of
And,
course.
and so I did it all the way into, actually, I got into a lot of trouble. And so I stopped drinking in college for 4 years, but then I picked it right back up afterwards,
Mm.
got into the UFC as an alcoholic, and
Yeah.
so many people are like, how is that possible? I'm like, I don't know. I just, it's like when you're good at something and you're hard nosed and you're stubborn, I feel like
Yeah.
unfortunately you also apply it to the bad stuff, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you go hard in wrestling, like a lot of the times you party just as hard. And so I
Yeah.
totally relate when you talk about that stuff.
And I mean, what I like to try to explain it to people like is, you see how, I'm using myself as an example here, but how regimented and religious and structured and obsessive I am about my routine
Hmm.
and my preparation for everything. Take that same focus and aim the crosshairs at a bad thing, whatever
Yeah.
that bad thing may be, whether it's drugs, alcohol, strippers, porn, whatever. That's the same amount of energy and focus I'm going to put into the bad thing. So I always say I have to be careful where my crosshairs are pointed. Because if it's cupcakes, I'm going to, eat too many cupcakes. It's just how I am. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I totally, totally get it. And going back to the in college thing was the same thing for me. I was crushing it in college wrestling and absolutely destroying my body on the same time. It's incredible I don't know the answer, just like you don't. Like how I did what I did, I have no idea. It's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. When did you stop drinking?
Okay, so the timeline on that was I drank and used drugs all through college. And I always could keep it like in check. So when I needed to like cut it out for a tournament on the weekend or make weight or whatever the issue was, I could do that because there was a reason
Yes.
to have little lapses in drinking and drugging.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so obviously, you know how redshirting works.
Yes.
I never redshirted, so I went straight out of college or straight out of high school into college. Started my freshman year on a good team. I was an All-American as a true freshman, and then all the way up through. And the agreement was with the coaching staff when I signed my contract or whatever it is, the scholarship agreement. They would keep me on scholarship for 5 years. I took a 5-year school plan, like course load.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a year left in school after I had used up my eligibility. So my 5th year, they were still going to pay for it. But I had to come and help coach. I still had to go to the room every day. And now at this point, though, there was nothing to keep me from drinking or drugging or whatever the bad things that I was doing. So that didn't last very long. By November, I had medically withdrawn from school, and I went back to my hometown. At that point in time, I had been in a long-term relationship with a girl who I was engaged to. That fell apart, obviously. And I told my mom everything about how I think I'm, a drug addict and an alcoholic, and I kind of had a meltdown. So that was in November of 2009, and I got my shit together for like 2 weeks, and I don't know, it's probably the worst thing I could have done is doing it like on my own, and it proved to me that, oh my God, I didn't do anything for almost 2 weeks. Like I don't have a problem. Someone with a problem can't stop for 2 weeks like that.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I was trying to get the ex-girlfriend back and proving to her that I didn't have a problem. And I got like a really nice apartment there in my hometown. And I would say like the week I moved into that apartment, it was actually my birthday in November that year. And that's when I started drinking and using again. And it was off to the races. So it took 6 months. This is the worst 6 months of my life. I got evicted from the apartment. No one would hang out with me, all the good stuff that comes along with being an addict like that. And it was May 31st of 2010. I went in, my college coach, Tim Flynn, I was crying to him on the phone the night before, like sobbing my eyes out. And I actually wanted to stop at that point. I remember like drinking and doing the drugs that I was doing, and they just weren't working anymore. I couldn't even like feel fun anymore, And he said, listen, because I had previously, I got to backtrack a little. I had previously, like 2 or 3 weeks before that, I had gone into a rehab and done like an intake evaluation, which is, where they take your pee, they take your blood, they do all the protocol that you would be doing to check into a rehab. And then I never went back. So they had me all ready to go. And fast forward a couple of weeks, Coach Flynn was telling me, if you don't go to rehab tomorrow, call them when we hang up this phone. I'm going to come there. I'm going to drag you by your hair there. And he meant it. He would have. So I went in the next day, and that was May 31st, 2010. And I've been good, not good, comes with struggles along the way. But so that was my sobriety date.
So 11 years.
It'll be 11 years in like 2 weeks, I guess.
That's
about 2 weeks.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
not
you.
fucking easy. Literally 2 days ago. And, I'm very open and people are like, oh gosh. But, I bought a bottle of wine, and there are days like that where, I'm staring at the bottle of wine, and thank goodness, I always win. It doesn't happen, but it's a struggle. It's a constant struggle. And I don't think that enough of us who are on this high level of athleticism talk about it because, I think people who aren't on our level, they think that we don't have those kinds of problems, and we do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like when we get to this high level, all of our problems go away. It's a constant battle, like you said. But that's amazing. And I'm very, very proud. And it's unfortunate, this is called Sex and Violence. So I do want to talk
Right.
about the fact that you lost a partner because of
Sure.
your alcoholism or drug addiction. Is that something that's happened many times over, your drinking career?
I would say that one was the only one that was like a direct result of that. And it wasn't like, oh, she found out that I was doing something behind her back and left me. It was more like a ton of problems that we had within the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
you could trace them back to, drinking and drugging. And
Yeah.
there was a ton of like toxic things going on in that relationship. I would say more than half of the problems we had were stemming from the drinking and drugging. So yeah, that was, and again, we were so young and we got engaged really young. Who knows if I hadn't had those problems, if this would still be the same conversation about, I don't think I would have been with her anyways. We are two different people, and, I'm a completely different person at this point in my life. It sounds kind of cruel, but I'm actually really glad that happened.
No, it's not cruel at all.
Yeah.
I say that all the time. Actually, I say
Yeah.
something even crazier.
Mhm.
When I was 17, I stabbed this guy when I was blacked out drunk, and I say
Okay.
I'm actually happy that that happened. And
Right.
people look at me like I'm out of my mind, I'm psycho, and it's because if that didn't happen at that time in my life, there's no way that I would be doing as well as I am
Right.
now, and with the people
Mhm.
that I am now.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying there. And I mean, yeah, but so to answer your question, that's the only one that I've had that cost me a relationship to
Hmm.
some extent. But that was, I guess, yeah, 2010 that one ended. I didn't have another serious relationship for about 9 years.
Nine
I was,
years.
yeah, super like hyper folk. Obviously, I'd gone on dates and like hung out with
Yeah.
girls, but I was like just super like laser focused on the goal at hand, and I wasn't gonna let anything get in the way of my UFC dreams and accomplishing those. And again, it takes a special kind of person to date someone like, that does what we do.
Yeah,
And,
and also someone who has the addiction problems that we have, because it
of
also comes
course,
with its own set of responsibilities for your partner. And,
sure
it's all
does.
about finding the right person. I'm happy that you have found the right person. Actually,
Thank you.
9 years of, being, single, you dated. I want to talk about how awkward it is to
Mhm.
go into the dating world after so many years of drinking. I remember the first time actually is with my boyfriend that I have now. But it was so weird to go on a sober first date. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous, and even sober sex compared to drinking and then just hooking up and then being like, oh,
For
kind of
sure.
fuzzy. Like, what was that like? Making that switch from normal party boy, not normal, but party boy Gregor to sober Gregor and dating.
So, obviously, that extended period of time where I hadn't, had a real serious relationship, it was always awkward. Like when you're meeting someone who doesn't know anything about you, you explaining to them, well, we could go get drinks on Friday. I mean,
Exactly. Ugh.
really do that, and it's just I was always super open about it. It was never a surprise with me. So obviously there were certain people that thought that was weird, and that's their own preference, and that's I'm just not the one for you then.
When is the
Um,
right time to tell someone, hey, I'm an alcoholic, I have a problem, that's why I don't drink? Like,
yeah,
I was wondering, when I first got sober, like, I don't want to scare someone away, but at the
yeah,
same time, I don't want to feel like I'm lying to this person.
yeah. I pulled the band-aid off right away when I was doing that.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's who I am. It's a giant part of my life. It's
Yeah.
it's not going to be like, hey, you got to deal with this for until I'm done fighting, and then I can have that free, life where we do everything fun, like go on cruises and drink all you can drink. That's never going to be a part of my life.
Exactly.
So I think it's fair and just to tell people right away, and I don't. It usually comes up like like I just used as an example when someone's like when you're in the dating world and you say stuff like, "Hey, well, what do you want to do if we're going to hang out?" Well, and they suggest something like dinner and drinks, and then I use that as my segue into, hey, by the way, I don't drink. This is my past, and I don't go and tell the whole story right away, but I let them know, pretty soon. The fortunate part for me was that if I recall correctly, Christina, my current girlfriend, we're Facebook friends and Instagram friends, and I was always posting my anniversaries on there and my milestones, and she already she knew that I didn't drink,
That's
and
good. Yeah.
yeah, she's not much of a drinker either. She doesn't use drugs or
Oh,
drink, so well,
perfect.
I don't
Yeah.
think. Yeah, she doesn't. She does. She drinks. She had a glass of wine when we were out to dinner with her family last week, but that's like that's a crazy night for her.
Yeah, yeah. I knew right away when I got sober, I was never going to be able to date someone who was a drinker, even a
Right.
normal drinker, just because I
Yeah.
myself am so susceptible in my early stages of sobriety. I
Right.
knew I either needed to be completely single or with someone who didn't drink. And my boyfriend
Right.
doesn't drink. We both smoke weed, which
Right.
is, our happy time, our
Sure.
relaxation. I don't know if you partake in medicinal marijuana. I don't know what's going on, if you want
I
to talk about that.
I don't, and that's not because I think that it's against like the sobriety rules. I don't think that. I think that it's totally fair and okay to do that, like especially you being a high level athlete. Because I think that there are, the issues that you deal with, just like you said, are the same or greater than someone that's not a professional athlete. So I'm totally okay with medicinal marijuana. It's just I don't do well with marijuana. It makes me like super scared, I guess would be the right word. So
Paranoid?
yeah, paranoid, but like to like the like millionth degree. It just doesn't work with me, and I wish it did. Because I think, it's becoming way more widely accepted. I think it's definitely a tool for some people that is unbelievably effective.
Yeah,
But I yeah, I
just not for
I don't
you.
it
It's all
doesn't
good.
work for me. It doesn't work with me. Yeah, it just makes me more scared and worried than anything.
Yeah, well,
So
it looks like your relaxation time is fishing. Is that
yeah.
your way that you get away? Like I just hear, you're what's up with this best fisherman in MMA? Like what's that all about? I know it's not really sex, that's not really violence,
Yeah.
but I gotta ask, what's it about?
Okay, so I used to fish when I was younger. Like, my whole childhood growing up, I would say we fished all the way up until I went to college. And then I, was partying, drinking, girls,
Hmm.
wrestling. That was it. And then when I got sober, I went from, being a complete, absolute like junkie mess into, a little stint in rehab in my early stages in the program. And I went into like a religious, like absolutely uber structured lifestyle where like every single calorie was counted and everything was perfect in my workouts. And um you know shortly after got into fighting, and the same thing was happening with like my structure and my schedule. And I would say, I guess it was like right after my, yeah, it was after my first UFC fight. Yeah, I think somewhere in there, my friend from Edinboro, the college I went to, took me out fishing, and we caught a muskie. And I literally bought a fishing boat like the next week and picked it back up. And it was like such a godsend. And here's why I say that. Like I've said this like phrase before in other interviews and podcasts, and it's very accurate. I was living like I had a prison sentence to serve. Every single day was the same, like obviously different workouts, different days, but same schedule. And like Sundays were like Saturday, Sunday was not a weekend. It was like I, I didn't like have a weekend. There was no reprieve from any of the fight life. And I think you can only do that for so long before you just like
Burnout.
explode,
Yeah.
Yeah, burnout. So thank God fishing came back into my life. And now I can say, hiking is another thing that I picked up because of Christina recently. And these two things give me a little bit of like a weekend, or something to look forward to at the end of the week that's completely unrelated to my fight life. Yeah, I don't want to say it's like my R&R because it's not really either of those things, but it's just something completely outside of fighting that I'm also obsessed with,
That's
which I think is
awesome.
good.
That's good. We
Yeah.
all need that. So I want to ask you about something that I don't get a chance to ask about because we have a lot of female guests. I had
Right.
Alan Joban on a couple episodes ago. We
Yeah.
talked about his first boners as a kid.
Hmm.
I want to ask you, wet dreams, kids,
Yeah.
boys, what age, what was that like dealing with when you were younger? I mean, I'm a girl, so I have no
Sure.
idea. Tell me your situation when you're growing up.
Okay. All right. So I remember like, God, I must have been 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that range, way before I'd hit puberty, way before I'd ever, I was a late bloomer. I would say like 10th grade is when I finally hit puberty. But I remember like being very young. And remember, this is a different time. So there was magazines out,
Oh,
back
yes, yes,
then. There
yes.
was no
No
tablets and iPads.
internet.
Right. So I remember my dad was buying like the fitness magazines because he's, big time workout guy. And we had a bunch of those like fitness magazines laying around. And I remember like the like swimsuit portions of it where the girls are in bikinis and
Yeah.
stuff. And I remember like getting a boner when I was like a little kid and like being like, oh my God, what is this? Like, and then obviously as you get older, you realize like, oh, okay, this is normal. But as far as like the wet dreams are concerned, I can honestly say like going through puberty, and I think that's probably as a boy, for the most part, that's when kids start to get them. And, they have wet dreams, right, as they go through their maturing phases. I never had a wet dream. I can say that probably my first one, this is really crazy, but I remember like it was yesterday, actually. It was my fight against Jordan Rinaldi in North Carolina in 2000. It was January 2018. And I was super tired. I didn't sleep well the night that I was, cutting weight. So Thursday night. And I slept like shit, woke up Friday morning, weighed in. And I remember going to like our weigh-in dinner and being so tired. And I ended up taking an Uber home from the weigh-in dinner. And that night I slept like a rock, hydrated and full of food. And I went to bed and I remember having a wet dream the night before I fought Jordan Rinaldi. Yeah. And like, that's happened twice now, believe it or not.
Are
Like
you
the night
sure it was
before
a wet dream though?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like if it's fight week and you're cutting your water weight, maybe your bladder or something.
No, it was 1000%. I remember because I can remember who I was having sex with in the dream.
Oh,
So I know it was a
wow.
fact. Yeah. And I know you're a girl, so you don't know this, but there's zero mistaking what that is when you wake up.
Got it. I'll take your word
Zero
on it.
mistaking. Yeah. But that happened with the Jordan Rinaldi fight. And then I can't recall the other fight, might have been the Brooklyn one a year or two later. And I remember having the same exact thing happen. Like, this is a good sign. I always fight better after a wet dream, So,
Oh, all right. The ticket to
yeah.
success. Wet dreams before your
Yes,
fight. Got
wet
it.
dream. So I remember I said it. Actually, I said it. I said it because I had a sex dream, but I didn't have a wet dream before the canceled one with Brad Riddell. And I was like, this is a good sign. It almost happened. Like, we got to hope it happens for this one.
So I'm assuming, since you're such a regimented person, that you might be one of those crazy people who think that you should not have sex before a fight.
I don't think that, no, I don't really feel like that. I don't think that, that's something that, if I were in the situation, I would abide by. My girlfriend isn't with me before the fight.
Yeah.
But if she was and we were both in the mood, we would definitely do it. It's not something that I would be like, no, I can't. Girls make weak legs.
Yeah. I mean, you hear that all the
not me.
time,
Yeah, I think that's like old school. And that's like, you've been watching too much Rocky movies.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think that, I think there's some evidence to say like the more you jerk off or masturbate, like the higher your testosterone goes. I don't think that like, I think it actually does the opposite,
Yeah.
So,
There's different sciences, right? But it's all
yeah,
about what works for you.
absolutely. So I would say that if it was, if the opportunity was there and my girlfriend was with me and we were both in the mood, I would definitely do it.
Well, you don't got to
So,
name names, but what's one of your favorite sexual memories?
well, I can tell you the one that comes to mind right away is, my girlfriend and I, we were on my boat alone, just the two of us, on a lake near Syracuse, and we had sex on the boat, which was insanely good and fun. And that's the one that popped into my head right away.
Sex on a boat. We're on a boat. Never,
Yeah.
never done that.
Yeah.
All right.
So that was a fun one.
And then I wanted to know, how did you actually learn about sex growing up? Everyone's got these different stories. Some people have older brothers or sisters. Some people watch TV, and then some people actually get the birds and the bees talk, right? What happened when
never got that. Never got the birds and the bees talk. I remember the first time because you hear bad words as a kid, and it's like cool to be the kid who knows the bad words, like third
Yeah.
grade, and like there was a kid who was like, when I look back at it now, I realized he was like the bad kid in class whose parents didn't want their kids hanging around because he teaches the other kids bad things. And I was in third grade at the lunch table, and I'd heard the word sex before, but I didn't really know what it was. And that kid told me, so I realized in third grade that sex was what it is. But I would say I learned more through fucking trial and error and experience.
Yeah.
Obviously, the shitty fucking education that you get in health class.
Yeah. Condom
So
on a banana doesn't help anybody.
Yeah. Oh my God, what a stupid way to do it. But I think the sexual education in this country could be a lot better than it is. But that was my experience with it.
All right.
So.
Well, it is now time for the lightning sex round. the
Here we go.
lightning, fast-paced round where I ask you a one-word question or phrase, and you have to answer quickly yes or no. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
All right, Gregor, lightning sex round. Do you dirty talk in bed?
No.
Spank or like to be spanked?
Do I have to say yes or no, right?
Yep, yes or no.
Yes.
Biting?
No.
Choking?
Nope.
Threesomes?
No.
Do you watch porn?
No. Not anymore.
Any foot fetish?
No, I never understood that one. Nope, not for me.
It's not for me either. Bodily fluid fetish?
No. No.
Bondage like ropes, blindfolds, handcuffs?
No. Call me a prude, but never was into that either.
What about role playing?
That's okay in my book.
Okay. Butt stuff on you or a partner?
Nope, not into it.
Do you use sex toys?
No, but
Ever-
I'm not against it.
All right. Ever been to a sex club or a swingers party?
No, I have not.
And are you a lingerie lover?
I do like a good pair of, underwear and bra. Yeah.
All right. That
Yeah.
was painless. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then we're going to finish off the episode with our game Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Yes!
Fuck one, marry one, kill one. Go.
I think we're done here. Done here.
Yes.
Done here. Done.
Are you ready?
I love that. Yeah.
Okay. So this Fuck, Marry, Kill is the famous Long Islander version. You get to choose from Lindsay Lohan, Rosie O'Donnell, and Amy Schumer. Who do you want to fuck? Who do you want to marry? And who do you want to kill?
Oh man, this is a tough list. You know what's crazy? I know I'm supposed to answer these right away, but
That's
I
okay.
posted like the picture of me in a suit fishing the other day, and
Mhm.
recalled out Conor McGregor as the best dressed fisherman in MMA, and Rosie O'Donnell commented on my Instagram. Like I was like, what the fuck? This is so strange.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I guess. Oh my god, this is.
Well, now you can't kill her.
I know. I don't want to fuck her either.
I wasn't going to say that, but yeah.
Yeah. I get my instant thought would be I have to fuck Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, she's crazy, I bet.
Yeah, I know. That's why she's not. She's the most attractive, obviously. So I'm gonna fuck her. I'm gonna have to kill Rosie.
Aw.
Yeah.
And you're going to marry Amy Schumer? At least she'll make you laugh all the
I
time.
know. Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's my list.
Okay.
Man, that's a tough one though.
No, Lindsay Lohan, they say the crazy girls are good in bed. That's a good one.
I can only imagine.
Rosie, sorry, Rosie.
Yeah,
We don't love her for her looks. And then
No.
Amy, if you got to live with her forever, at least she'll make you laugh. So that's a good one.
Yeah.
Good job.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's get to these fan questions.
Yo, I got a question, man.
There's some pretty good ones. We got
Cool.
We Are Alive at Night. They want to know, two-part question. What would be your dream fishing trip?
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think of something that that I can't just do on my own. So a dream fishing trip. I've done halibut fishing in Alaska, which is probably what I would have said had I not done that.
Whoa.
But I would like to do the Goliath grouper trips down in Florida, and Clay Guida has actually asked me to go down and fish with him down there. So that's something that I would consider a bucket list type of fishing trip.
Very
So,
cool. Isn't it crazy
yeah.
that the people that we connect with in the sport because
It's wild.
we're a bunch of fucking savages, basically.
Yes,
But-
exactly.
You're crazy. I'm crazy too. Let's be friends.
Yeah, let's hang out. Yeah.
Second part of the question is, since Pops is a fucking beast, who would win in an arm wrestling match, you or your dad?
Oh, so he must have seen the picture I put up of me and my dad flexing. I would say my dad's 66 years old now. So I would have to say me at this point, but not in our primes. I'm certain he would have beat me then. He was my biggest wrestling mentor. He coached me. He's the guy that got me into the sport. And he used to just fucking abuse me. in high school. And like, even when I was really good, I was like the third best kid in the country as a senior. And he used to come into the room in his fucking 50s and beat the shit out of me. So
It's not embarrassing
yeah.
having your 50-year-old dad whoop up on
He,
you.
he was a good college wrestler though. So you got to give him that. It wasn't just some idiot that was beating me up, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like if you're a good, like, you're actually a legit college wrestler, you're probably just, you know, a badass forever. But, you know, maybe that's my
Forever.
wrestling bias.
Yeah.
And then
I
we
agree
got
with you.
at MurrayHawk_97, thoughts on possible Dan Hooker matchup.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like we mentioned earlier, I want to, get this ball rolling on my way up to the title contention. So whatever makes the most sense to get me there the quickest. So I've always been one that kind of avoids calling individual people out or talking about individual matchups. But if I could get someone ranked a bit higher than him, I would probably take it. But if obviously I don't know what the UFC is going to offer me when it's time to pick a fight, but if that seemed like the best option, I would do it. But as far as like matchups go, he's a stand-up guy, obviously. So obviously, as a wrestler, you always consider guys like that to be a more favorable matchup than not as good at what you're good at. But that being said, he's obviously super good. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is just my 2 cents, but I feel like you should change your way of thinking. You're over here saying, "Oh, I don't want to call people out," but you've got this standard set for yourself, this almost time limit. You're 14-1. You're ranked 11. I feel like you should be more ballsy, more demanding. And like, look, guys, I'm not going to be here forever. Like, I'm not going to be one of these people who fights past their prime. Like, I've got shit to do. You should pick a name that's going to get you, closer to the belt and play hardball. That's what I think you should do. But that's just
I know. And I've heard that before. I'm just like really lousy at doing the whole call out thing. And like, I don't know.
I agree. You don't want to be fake because that's not you. But at the same time, it's like you do want to get to the belt. It's weird. We're in a sport where it's entertainment, but also athletics. Ugh, it's weird.
Yeah, it is. It's super weird. And I think, that obviously got super popular with Conor McGregor. Yeah. And I think people kind of expected that to be the norm. And I tried it once. I literally did. I remember doing a call out on my Instagram of Anthony Pettis like a couple of years ago. And it was the most cringy, worst call out in UFC history. So
I want you.
I'm gonna, it was so bad. It was so bad. So I'm gonna steer clear of those. I think
all of your fans are appreciative of your sincerity and your genuineness. So
yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
At Andy, I just lost my notes. Okay, this guy always asks questions. Thank you, Andy863. He wants to know what's more satisfying, catching a big fish or winning a fight.
Man, it's satisfying as it is to catch, a fish or a species of fish and a size fish you've been after. That's always amazing. But like, especially this last one, that was definitely the most satisfying and gratifying and rewarding win I've ever had in, it sounds crazy, but like the way I felt after that, I not comparable to anything else I've ever won. And I think it was just an accumulation of, things along the way that added up. And when I won 2 weeks ago, it was just such an incredible feeling. So there's nothing like that.
I think it's a testament to show how strong that feeling is when someone like you and I, like addicted to drugs and alcohol, like getting high, right? And then we say winning, it's even better. It's like, oh,
there's
shit.
Nothing like definitely better than any drug.
Better than high and being drunk and all. It's an amazing feeling. Okay.
Yeah, and me and Kyle Sermonero, Blonde Fighter's husband, he's my best friend, and we talk about it all the time. If you could like bottle up that feeling you got, like, the night you win a fight and into the next day, it's the highest of highs. You can sell it for $1 billion. You know what I mean? There's no feeling like that.
Yep. Okay, at Poppy705, who's the second best fisherman in MMA?
There's some good ones out there. Obviously, you saw the guys that were calling me out after my win a couple weeks ago. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. You've got the guy, Thug Nasty, Bryce
Mitchell.
Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah.
He definitely is. He's a hillbilly, and he knows how to fish.
He's a hillbilly.
Conor McGregor cannot fish at all. Then you've got like Jack Hermansen's a good fisherman. Chad Mendez fishes, but I would say like probably honestly Quay Greed is probably the second best.
Okay. All right. Sounds
Yeah.
good. And then at T Ponticaitis 01, I don't even know what this means. What's your go-to place in Rochester for a garbage plate? What the hell
You
is a
wouldn't know it.
garbage plate?
Yeah, and okay, so I'm gonna explain this to you a little bit, but probably like 30 or 40 years ago, a restaurant in downtown Rochester, they started serving. It was called, the restaurant was Nick Tahoe's. I believe it's still there, but they they made this thing called a garbage plate or a trash plate, and I'll explain what it is briefly. It's a giant styrofoam container, like a a to-go styrofoam box, and it'll have like a pile of home fries, what else is in there? I don't get them because I hate them. They're disgusting, and I would never be caught dead eating one, but they're a Rochester staple. So it's a pile of home fries, a pile of mac salad, or I believe it's
Macaroni
whatever.
salad?
The one with mac salad, mac salad, home fries, and then you either get 2 hamburgers or cheeseburgers on top of it with no buns, or 2 hot dogs on top of it, and they have this like gravy hot sauce that they pour all over it, and you just chop it up into like little, it's a drunk food. It's what you go to, and they have all these places all over Rochester, and they're called Hots. So like the one in my town was Empire Hots, the one in the next town's Penfield Hots, then you have Grease Hots. Nick Tahoe's is the original one, but then everything after that was called whatever the town is. Hots, Webster Hots, Penfield Hots, and you go there. They're open till fucking 4 a.m. I don't think they open until like 6 p.m. It's a drunk food. You know what I mean? You would never ever think of ever in a million years of touching it if you were sober, but apparently, after hours when you're drunk, it's
All right. So
I don't like mayonnaise, so I can't. That mac salad and potato salad is disgusting to me.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So that's a lot of information, but you yourself, you're not into the garbage plate.
No.
All right.
I would never get one.
Well, our last question for you is, who would you like to hear on the podcast on Sex and Violence with Rebel Girl next? It could be a fighter. I mean, we did talk about Caitlin and Kyle being on the show. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that's my suggestion. I could talk to those guys every day on a podcast and never get bored with it. It's like those two together, especially, it's us three. Man, it is like it's super entertaining, and it's super it's an educated conversation with a lot of little nuances you wouldn't think applied to whatever situation you're talking about. I think those two, I'll do my best to put the word in, but those two are the guests that I would suggest on anybody's podcast.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I've been a fan of hers for quite a while, and
She's so good.
Yeah, my boyfriend actually was telling me that her boyfriend is a wrestler. So then I mean, I know this is silly, but I was just like instant more respect. I'm like, okay, she's dating a wrestler. Okay, good for her.
Right. He's very, 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 very good wrestler. He's in my corner. He's been a really close friend of mine since high school. He was a Division I All-American in college. I mean, I would argue to say that had he made a better choice in colleges, he would have been a multiple-time All-American and most likely a national champ. I mean, his senior year, he was ranked first in the country most of the year. He's extremely good. And I mean, he was better after college too. He was like second in the U.S. Open.
Nice.
He won the Pan Ams or second in the Pan. I can't remember, but he was super good.
Can I ask a completely a little inappropriate, but I guess you would expect it coming from this podcast?
Of course. Go ahead.
I recently, I'm on Instagram just like you are, and I come across a MMA page that is basically putting Caitlin on blast for liking porn on Twitter, and I'm like, any insight into what happened there?
Yeah, so I talked to those two extensively about that, but she kind of like steered into that one because her account had gotten hacked.
Okay.
And so it was like a lot of like, hardcore porn likes and stuff. And I remember
hey, Caitlin, if you're into that, I'm not judging. Right. I'm just saying, please come on the podcast and talk about it.
So unfortunately, it was hacked, but the way they handled that was so funny. Like, Blonde Fighter they made memes, and they like reposting memes about it.
Yeah,
it was just
you got to lean into it. You got to lean into it, right?
They steered right into that one, and it was super funny the way they handled it. And like, I mean. Like there were certain people like Serm. I remember Serm, her husband. I call his last name Sermonero, so I call him Serm. But Serm, someone had messaged him and been like, "Yo, bro, is this true?" And was she hacked? And then Serm answered the question jokingly, like, "So she says," like he was kidding.
Yeah,
And The guy was like, bro, I'm so sorry, man. Let me know if you need me, bro. I was like, wait, dude, I was kidding. And she got hacked. Like, she had gone to the UFC social media people and told them earlier in the week that she got hacked. Like,
I mean, even if she didn't get hacked, like,
yeah.
who the fuck cares what kind of porn you're watching?
Yeah.
You know, like,
well, that's what CERM said. CERM literally said on the podcast this week. The episode came out a couple of days ago, and I listened to it. They were explaining the situation, and CERM had said, like, wait, I mean, who cares if she liked porn? Who cares? Wait, what are you here for me for? I'm not leaving my wife because she liked porn. Like, what? Yeah. Like,
Gregor, this has been such an I feel like I could talk to you for another hour. I have so many other questions, but maybe I can have you on the show again in the future. Thank you for being so candid about everything, training, not a lot of people like to talk about retirement. It's like a touchy subject. Not a lot of people like to talk about sobriety. Not a lot of people talk about sex. So you did the trifecta today. I appreciate it. You're a very genuine person, and I know your fans can hear that and see that and everything that you do. So stay in touch and tell everyone where we can find you on all the social media handles.
So all of them are Gregor the Gift.
Gregor the Gift. Not the fisherman?
No, I never really tied that in because I made the accounts before that. But it's just Gregor the Gift. That's on all of the platforms. And you will find a ton of fishing pictures and, videos on there, though. If you don't like fishing, don't go to my page.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to watch your next fight. And like I said, hopefully have you on the show again. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Yep. Bye.
Went to a party. I danced all night. 16 beers and a solid of a fight. When I'm chilling, you're out of luck. I'm rolling down the stairs, too drunk to fuck. Too drunk to fuck. You're too drunk to fuck. Too drunk to fuck. I'm too drunk to fuck.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to... Just kidding. Okay, guys. Well, happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to DJ Zoll. Happy birthday to Tomorrow Kids Studio, because all of us have been together for 1 year. This is our anniversary episode, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for downloading the podcast, for subscribing to our YouTube, for liking our pictures on Instagram, sending in your amazing fan questions every week. We wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. It's been an interesting journey this past year. Sometimes I fumble my words. Sometimes I'm still finding my voice, and I just can't tell you guys how much it means to have your support. So if you guys could please write us a review or leave us a rating, that helps us move up the charts so that we can keep cranking out these episodes for you guys. Our goal is always to show you a side of the guest that isn't normally seen. We don't ask the normal questions, and it gets kind of risque at times, but it's important because we're all the same at the end of the day. We're all human, and we're all just trying to make the best of our time here on this place called Earth. So please, special thank you to our ride or dies, DJ Zoll, at DJ Zoll on Instagram, Tomorrow Kids Studio, that literally burnt down and was rebuilt, which is at Tomorrow Kids Studio on Instagram. And they were also called Pinnacle Sound. Instagram will be coming to you guys soon. And I always like to tell you guys, what do I say? Remember, be kind, be grateful, but don't take shit from anyone. Thank you guys again, and amazing. Please subscribe to this podcast and tune in next week for more tales of sex and violence.